Ora katoa, welcome to City News. Tonight, Hotel Association spokesperson Gert Telhard welcomes addition of high-end rooms to the local market. Free daytime parking is on the way for camper vans and motorhomes. And Te Awamutu and Hamilton will meet in the final of the Stanmead Cup this weekend. But first, local New Zealand First candidate Fletcher Tabuto put forward his reasons as to why his party is good for local business and people at the Chamber of Commerce election debate. His high placing of New Zealand First's party list almost guarantees Mr Fletcher a seat in the next Parliament, and he says the placing reflects his loyalty and belief in the party and their policies.
This room represents a lot of smart people who are making some good choices. I don't say that to flatter you, I say it as a simple fact. And I stand before you today to say I would like to be a part of this city's success. I would like to be a voice representing you going into government or into Parliament to help you in this room succeed. That is my goal, that is my hope, and so I am excited.
And later in the show, our final presentation from the Chamber debate. Tonight we feature Labour Waiariki candidate Rawiri Waititi. The Ramada Lakeside Resort and Spa Rotorua is set to open next year at the lake end of Whitaker Road. The Rotorua Ramada is an $18.5 million development and will offer a mix of 68 hotel rooms and 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. It will also feature a geothermal health spa, on-site restaurant and bar, swimming pool and conference facilities. Chairperson of the Rotorua Tourism Hotel sector, Gert Telhard, welcomes the Ramada's entry into the marketplace, saying it has a shortage of rooms at the upper end.
Well, it's no secret that the Chinese visitation is changing. The profile of the Chinese visitor is changing rapidly, and we are getting a whole lot more of what we call self-drive visitors from China. These are well-heeled, well-travelled individuals. They have a taste for good luxury product. And in Rotorua currently, we're a little limited. There are a number of fantastic properties here, but most certainly we could do with something that is fresh and something that is modern and luxurious to service that market in particular. And that goes the same for other markets such as Australia, the United States. There is definitely a need for our destination to have a luxury product.
Rotorua District Council is setting up a free daytime parking area to cater specifically for visiting camper vans and motorhome drivers. The new designated parking venue is located just behind the Arts Village in Government Gardens, inside the Henemoa Street entrance, and will have free all-day parking spaces marked out for the larger vehicles, as well as providing parking spaces for cars. And the new camper van facility would be the first of a number of designated parking areas for motorhomes around the city, and there's currently an investigation into other sites for potential future development. A Canadian totem pole gifted to the city in 1990 was officially decommissioned yesterday with a special ceremony. The totem pole has stood in the Government Gardens and is being removed with the blessing of the master carver, Chief Tony Hunt.
Well, obviously there's a connection there with our Canadian people, the spirit in which it was given to us. 10 years ago it had extensive restoration, and obviously the rot had started in the centre of the Western Red Cedar back then. That same conservator, Jack Fry, reassessed it last year, and its days outside were over. After today, our parks people, I actually have a meeting about that tomorrow, about the most appropriate way to put our totem pole to rest, and it seems that we'll plant a Canadian redwood or similar, so that the spirit may live on, if you like. It seems most appropriate.
In sport tonight, Te Awamutu and Hamilton will meet in the final of the Stanmead Cup this weekend after the two Waikato sub-unions triumphed on Saturday. Thames Valley B and King Country B will fight out the Stanmead Cup plate. Both finals will be played at Albert Park in Te Awamutu. To your weather update now, Rotorua. Tonight, drizzle, light winds, overnight a low of 6. Tomorrow Wednesday, cloudy periods, northeast breeze, a high of 14 and low of 6. Looking out to Thursday, drizzle at times, northeasterlies, a high of 14 and low of 8. Marine forecast for Lake Rotorua for Wednesday, variable 5 knots, waves less than half a metre and cloudy periods. Still Still to come tonight on City News, we're with mountain bike entrepreneur Tak Mutu to talk about the new Crankworks Bike Festival coming to Rotorua. And we have Labour candidate for Wairiki Rawiri Waititi's presentation at the recent Chamber of Commerce election debate.
Crankworks, what is it and what's the fuss all about? With me we've got Tak Mutu and the team who's going to tell us exactly about this wonderful new event coming to Rotorua. Hey Tak, how's it going?
Oh, we're pretty excited, that's for sure.
So let us know about Crankworks. What is it about?
Crankworks is the world's biggest mountain bike festival. I've just been to Whistler in Canada and experienced the event firsthand, and over the festival there are 120,000 people who went through the gates, and even on the final race alone, there were only 20 competitors at the final race, 35,000 people sitting on the side of a hill. So it's primarily a mountain bike festival, but in all honesty it's about more than that. And for Rotorua it's about showing the world, everyone out here and everyone out there as well, that yep, we have amazing mountain biking here, but we have everything else as well. We've got the music, we've got the flair, and probably the biggest thing is we've got the people as well. It's one of the big attractions of the Crankworks management team from Whistler bringing it to Rotorua was the people here. I hosted the general manager Darren Kinnaird here for 4 days, and by day 2 he said this is where it needs to be, and I asked him why. Why do you think that this should be the place? And he quite honestly said, the people here, the community, it's got such a good feeling here. People talk about mountain biking here, people are really friendly, and he said it's quite a humbling experience because it reminds him of his hometown, as it started to grow with mountain biking as well. So, yeah.
Did you deliberately endeavour to set out to get Crankworks to New Zealand?
Honest truth, no. We were the Rotorua Bike Festival was set up with something like Crankworks in mind. So when the council and a number of other stakeholders like the Rotorua Energy Charitable Trust moved forward with that plan, they used Crankworks as an example of what they'd like to grow the bike festival to be. And the bike festival will keep running, but I suppose it was never in anybody's minds, because we're one of the stakeholders of Bike Festival. We never thought in our minds, in our dreams, that we were going to actually get Crankworks here. It was to build something that was going to be like it, not to actually host the event itself. So it wasn't. We started off initially with looking at bringing a World Cup round to Rotorua, which would have been massive in itself. Bringing all the top riders around from around the world to Rotorua to compete. That was progressing quite nicely, and then through a chance phone call from a friend to another friend, so Australia were looking at hosting some events over there, and for some reason the Crankworks name got bandied about, and someone from Australia called a mate here from New Zealand. Actually he works here, he runs the Ridges Hotel. James got a call from his friend saying, hey, have you ever thought about hosting Crankworks in Rotorua? You should give them a call. So that's what James did. He called Crankworks and said, you're looking at another destination, consider this place. And from there he made the connection with council and myself, knowing that we were looking at the World Cup, and said, hey, you should talk to these guys. Within a week we flew the manager of Crankworks over, and hello, we locked ourselves in the world's biggest mountain bike event.
So it really wasn't planned, it was just kind of one of those snowball effects.
It was, I want to put it down to a community at work, for the last 25 years, because mountain biking has been growing in this town, and it's been growing exponentially. It's worth millions to our economy, but more than that, we are seeing people who have chosen Rotorua as a lifestyle choice because of mountain biking, and it's through all these different people, all these different connections, that we managed to get to this point here, which is really a pinnacle for us, for our town, because this will be the first time we'll be able to showcase such a massive event to the world and to such a big audience. The world champs were massive, and that again was a massive stepping stone for us reaching this point here. And like I say, I think we're almost at a pinnacle now with the Crankworks event, that's for sure.
Now, you did mention quite a few names there, people who are involved. Can we have another rundown? And I notice you might be wearing some sponsorship clothing.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously there are a lot of people involved. You know, if you want to talk about the people behind the scenes, a huge number. You know, Dave Donaldson, Deputy Mayor, just a massive driver for this. Martin Croft from Events and Venues, and in fact, most of that council team have been really supportive, and that's something I've really noticed. Change in council has been a really positive thing for us as a business and also as a biking community as well. Council have been really supportive. And I'm not just talking about, you know, Destination Rotorua who are right in behind us, but other facets as well. You know, the resource consenting guys, the building consent guys. It's just been amazing. So council have been a big driver of this, but there are other people as well. You know, you've got the Rotorua Mountain Bike Club. You've got Rotorua Trust, you know, who reached out and said, listen, our land's right next to Skyline. You know, we want to be a part of this. We love the idea of, you know, growing Rotorua. Radio Charitable Trust are just waiting for us to come and knock on their door. You know, they've been saying, listen, you know, get in touch with us. Even government, you know, even government have been supportive of this. They handed down funding to Skyline to purposely develop an international level course, and without their money we wouldn't be able to host this event, you know, so there are some big realities here. And then of course Skyline.
Tuck's got so much to talk about that we're going to cut to a break and we'll be back. And so we're back with Takumutu and the team. He's going to introduce us to a couple of his members who are the driving force really behind Crankworks, eh?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a massive team, to be honest, and between Mountain Bike Rotorua and Multi-Day Adventures and of course our council team and Shine PR, the team's huge, and all will be involved. That's the nature of how we work. But I've got a couple of our bros here, our mountain bros, Ariki Tibble, who will take over the Crankworks management role, and Adrian Ashmore, who will jump onto the operations team as well.
So Ariki, let us know about your role. What are you doing?
Well, as Tuck said, I'm involved with the event management aspect of the event. Of course, the big announcement for Crankworks was on the 17th of August. That's where we went international, and Crankworks International made the big announcement. And that was huge, but now the real job starts. And so if we had a large number of people involved in getting this event here in the first instance, then we have a even larger amount that we now need to mobilise to make this a successful event. So my role at the moment is getting up to speed with everything that's gone before, but also looking ahead to the event itself and making sure that everything that we're doing between now and then is lining up so that we can mobilise that team to make sure this is the best event we could possibly run.
I suppose the event, we're looking further than just next year as well, because we've got this as long as we want it. So we've got a minimum of 3 years of running this event, and the idea is that this becomes a Crankworks site for eternity, you know, if we can manage it.
You must be busy, Ariki, because you're doing quite a lot in order to get this done before January next year, aren't you?
Yeah, not as busy as Tuck.
He is as busy as me.
You know, in many cases, at the moment, you know, Tuck's been very much involved in the development of things up until this point, so he's got a lot of information in his head. So a lot of my job at the moment is sitting alongside, observing, getting up to speed with the philosophy that's brought things this far, and then making sure that what I'm doing is consistent with that approach today. So.
And how did you get on the team?
I've been involved with Tuck as friends and also colleagues for a number of years, probably coming up 10 years now. So we've got that history together, know how each other works, and with that comes a lot of trust and of course cooperation. And cooperation is what we really need to make sure that our team of people do a really good job and smash this out of the park. So it was just a natural fit, really.
You're right, actually. It does take a team that can work as a team to create a strong organisation, so it's good to hear. Hi, Adrian, how's it going?
Hey, yeah, good.
What's your role this year with the organisation?
So my role won't start till early next year. I'll be cruising around making sure stuff looks tidy, and yeah.
What's your official title?
I'll be in logistics and helping out with operations as well. So.
With logistics, so what does the day in a life of you look like? What would it look like?
Making sure signage is in place and rubbish bins are out and the track's ready to roll for racing. And, yeah.
He's pretty humble, actually. Adrian actually has a bigger handle on what happens operationally on the field, more than he's letting on. And a good example is that this year, in fact, during the Rotorua Bike Festival, we ran a race, which we're going to run again during the Bike Festival in February next year, called the Sprint Warrior, and he single-handedly managed that. So everything from getting the athletes from the registration area to the start line, right through to timing, making sure the course was laid out, making sure that everybody was in place. There's a sound system there and all that sort of stuff. But he's too humble to say anything. Typical Ngāti Pikiao boys.
You actually sound like an event organiser. How did you get on board with the team?
So I was working last year for Rotorua events and helping out my mate Ra, and yeah, from that I quit my job in Auckland construction and come and help Tuck out, and sort of just took everything by the reins and kind of took over, and Tuck saw that I was doing a good job and let me take over the whole event. Yeah.
So thank you for joining us, Adrian. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you today, and I hope to see more of you around town putting up signs and managing the events early next year. Ariki, I imagine you will be definitely a busy person, so thank you so much for spending some of this time with us today. Tuck, what can we say? It's going to be big. But thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us today, and look forward to seeing more of you next year at that event.
Tamati's kind of filled you in on what the Labour Party is promising to do in the direction in regards to that. I just want to say that I'm the only Māori candidate here, but I think it's important that that there is, in the Māori seats, there's some other Maoris behind you, but standing in the Māori seats. But I think it's crucial that there is some dedication and some support put behind Rotorua businesses. And for myself, I've got to look right across the region. So there's 5 general electorates in the one Māori seat that I'm going for in the Waianiki here. But just to say, this is probably a crucial time for the Waianiki. They've got 2 choices. They can either vote for more of the same, which in actual fact is not as rosy-posy as some of them have said up here. It's actually been disastrous for Māori. Māori unemployment rates have doubled since 2011. Māori youth unemployment is 25%, which means 1 in 4 of our rangatahi do not have a job. And so those are the real statistics facing Māori. 285,000 children are living in poverty. That's 1 in 4 of our children living in poverty. But in Māori communities, it's 2 in 4. These are the realities of this electorate, and these are the realities of the things that Māori are facing at the moment. Crime rates are high, but incarceration isn't the answer. We need to be working with communities about how we can come up with positive and innovative solutions to dealing with crime within our city. That's not a political issue. Politicians are not going to fix that problem. That has to be worked with businesses, that has to be worked with communities, and strong communities like Rotorua to deal with those particular type of things. That's the first thing I'd like to get out to you all today. As a dad, and I've spoken to many mums and dads over the campaign trail, their needs are simple. They want good paid jobs, they want to be able to send their babies to school, to get a world-class education, and they want to live in dry, warm, affordable housing. We've got the policies, we've got a range of policies to ensure that happens for our babies. Over 100 shops here are closed here at Rotorua, and we've got to start looking at how and what the problem is and how do we fix that. How do we support small to medium enterprise here in Rotorua? We're dedicated to ensure that we support those. Our regional economic development policy will inject $200 million into the regions to ensure that we have job creation here in Rotorua. These are the places that have been forgotten about. The Rotoruas, the Taurangas, the Taupos, and even smaller. If you're struggling here in Rotorua, you think about the Opotiki, the Kawares, the Whakatanes, the Muruparas, the Maketus. They're really, really struggling out there. So if there is to be a true economic injection into the economy to support these types of towns, I think that there's every possibility Waiariki is probably the richest in all potential across the whole country. But the last social deprivation index showed that Waiariki is the most deprived. We've got the biggest man-made forest in the southern hemisphere that we're not capitalising on. Hence why we have directed the forested wood products policy to ensure that we keep raw products here in New Zealand, and that we've got manufacturing policies that go alongside that to ensure that we produce produce our own timber here in New Zealand instead of sending them over to Tauranga, ship them off to China and then buy them back. That doesn't make sense to us. So we want to ensure that we create jobs in that particular sector. We're predicting there are about 2,000 jobs in that particular sector that we'll create to ensure that that the raw products stay here and we produce those here in New Zealand. Also to support Tamati and what he said about procurement, we want to ensure that we buy New Zealand made. So if any government is building any buildings, we want to ensure that we're buying New Zealand wood made by New Zealanders, grown in New Zealand, obviously. So those are some of the positive things that we're looking at the moment. We want to, like I said, we want to support small and medium enterprise. Māori are very, they're entrepreneurs, but they need to be given the opportunity, and we need to be given the support to be able to do that. They're very creative and innovative people. I go to the markets on a Sunday, and those are the people that have got off their butts and gone out there to work hard, to make a living, to ensure that they feed their families, put a roof over their head, and clothe them. And I think that's an important thing to note. Rain, hail or shine, those families are out there trying to do their best for their families. And I think those are the families that we need to be supporting. Secondary tax, that's going to affect us because it's our people that are working double jobs. They're working double jobs because they're struggling out there. We've got the working poor, which is two people working in a home, but just can't get the leverage to get the momentum to go forward. And I think that those are the things that we need to address in terms of family development. But here's something you can help us with. The majority of those people on the dole are my people. They're Māori. So we've come out with a policy called the Apprenticeships for the Dole. I urge you all to have a look out there. See those young people who have the potential to be entrepreneurs and give them a chance. We will give you the equivalent of the dole to employ these people full-time permanent positions. And I think that's a challenge for you all here today, is to get these people into work, give them the head start so that they're able to prosper and able to feed their families as they're heading into the future. I don't want to say too much more, but thank you very much for the invitation. Nice to be here. I had to leave Auckland 10:30 last night after a live debate on Māori television. So I think my other colleagues are probably still up there wiping the pikaru out of their eyes. But like I said, thank you for the invitation. Nice to be here. Kia ora tātou.
That was Labour candidate for Waiariki, Rawiri Waititi's presentation at the recent Chamber of Commerce election debate. Tomorrow night we have some audience reaction to the candidate's presentation. If you have a news event TV Rotorua can support, call our office and talk with one of the team on 0734888984 or email news@tvrotorua.co.nz. Thanks for watching tonight. From all the team here at City News, ko Mārie.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.